All right, time to dive into these at-home bodyweight workouts. From your notes, it seems like you're super into this. I gotta admit, I'm getting pretty excited about it too. We've got some really great sources here. We've got articles from Healthline and Nerd Fitness. Those are all about how to build your own workout routines. And we have some tips for beginners from Very Well Fit. Oh, and we went on a full body circuit workout. That one's from Very Well Fit as well. So we're going to take a look at all of that, break it all down, see what the bodyweight basics are, then figure out how to structure effective workouts, and maybe even get you inspired to try that workout.
You know, what's really cool about bodyweight training is that your body really becomes the gym. You don't need any equipment. And anyone can adapt it for their fitness level.
Right. Like, that's one of my favorite parts. It's just so accessible. But I think a lot of people might wonder, can you really get in shape? Like, really get in shape if you're only using your body weight? What do the experts think?
Oh, they say you absolutely can. It all comes down to something called progressive overload. That basically just means you're always challenging yourself. It's not just doing a ton of reps. It's about pushing yourself. Nerd Fitness actually had this story about a guy named Jimmy who completely transformed his body using only bodyweight exercises. And he was just doing them in his apartment.
Wow, so that proves it works. But how do you actually go about making a bodyweight workout, one that gets results?
Well, Nerd Fitness has this really cool step-by-step guide. And they say the first thing you need is a goal. You need to know what you're aiming for. Are you trying to lose fat? Are you trying to build muscle, increase endurance? All of those will have a slightly different approach.
Got it. So goal first, then what?
Both Nerd Fitness and Very Well Fit recommend full body routines, especially for beginners. So that means you're hitting all of the major muscle groups in every single workout.
Makes sense. So I saw that Nerd Fitness suggests focusing on compound exercises. Can you explain what those are and why they're so important?
Compound exercises. Those are the ones that are working several different muscle groups at the same time. Think squats, push-ups, lunges. They're super efficient, especially if you don't have a lot of time. For example, when you do a push-up, you're working your chest, shoulders, triceps. You're even working your core.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot at once. So compound exercises instead of isolation exercises.
Right. Nerd Fitness had this funny way of putting it. They said compound exercises are like multitasking superheroes. And isolation exercises are one-trick ponies. They use the bicep curl machine as their example.
I love that. So we want to be superheroes, not ponies.
Exactly. And Nerd Fitness makes a point of saying, you need to get strong in the basic moves first, like squats, deadlifts, pull-ups, push-ups, get that foundation solid, and then you can start getting into variations and more specific exercises.
I can imagine if you could master all of those basic moves, you would be so strong. You would have functional fitness that you could use all the time, and you would probably have a pretty great physique too.
Definitely. All right, so the next thing to talk about is sets, reps, and rest.
Okay, yeah, that's where I get a little confused with all the numbers.
Yeah, it can seem like a lot, but it's really not too complicated. Let's just go over the terminology first. A set is just a group of repetitions, and repetitions are also called reps. It's how many times you do the exercise. So if you do 10 push-ups all in a row, that's one set of 10 reps.
All right, that makes sense. So how many sets and reps should we be doing?
So both Nerd Fitness and Very Well Fit recommend that beginners start with 2 to 5 sets for each exercise. And they say you should do 5 to 15 reps per set.
Okay, cool. That's a good place to start. But then I'm also seeing all these different rep ranges for different goals. It's a lot.
I know, but it's really not as hard as it looks. Nerd Fitness actually mentioned some recent research. It suggested that the exact number of reps you do isn't as important for beginners. As long as you're working close to failure.
Failure, like, I'm going to pass out.
No, not like that. It just means that you physically can't do another rep with good form. So it doesn't matter if you're doing 8 reps or 15. If you're pushing yourself to that limit, you'll see results.
Okay, that's good to know. So it's about challenging myself, not about the exact number.
Exactly. Just focus on good form, pushing yourself, and trying to get a little stronger every time you work out. Now, I know you mentioned in your notes that you're a little short on time sometimes. So let's talk about ways to be more efficient, even if you only have 30 minutes.
Yes, please. That would be amazing.
So both Nerd Fitness and Very Well Fit had 2 main solutions, supersets and circuits.
I've heard of those, but I'm not really sure how they work.
Okay, so a superset, that's when you pair 2 exercises together. You do them back to back. And you choose exercises that work opposing muscle groups. Nerd Fitness used the example of pairing squats with dumbbell presses. So while one muscle group is working, the other one is resting. That saves you time and keeps your heart rate up.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about circuits?
Circuit training. It's kind of similar to supersets, but instead of just 2 exercises, you're doing a whole bunch of them in a row with little to no rest. Very Well Fit really talked about how good circuits are for burning calories and making the most of your time.
Wow. So imagine fitting in a full body workout in just 30 minutes. That could really change things.
Definitely. You don't need hours at the gym, actually. One of the Very Well Fit articles included a 20-minute full body circuit. Maybe we could take a look at that together. I think it's a really great example of everything we're talking about.
Yeah, let's look at it. I'm really curious about what's in it.
Okay, so it has 11 exercises in total. Squat, curl, and press, sumo squat, power biceps curl, 360 plank, deadlift to overhead press with reverse lunge, one-arm row, push-ups, reverse turning lunge, and then lunge, wide chest press, and skull crushers.
Oh, wow, that sounds intense. I can feel the burn just hearing those names.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenging workout, but that's what makes it so good. And remember, all of those are compound movements, so you're hitting a lot of muscles with every exercise.
I love that. You don't need a gym at all, just you, your body, in 20 minutes. Imagine finishing that workout. You'd feel incredible.
Totally. And that's what it's all about, finding workouts you enjoy, that work for your life, and that you can stick with consistently.
Right, consistency is key. It's not about the perfect workout. It's about finding what works for you and doing it regularly.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the best things about bodyweight training. It's so flexible. You can do it anywhere, anytime.
Okay, so we just went through a ton. We covered the benefits of bodyweight training, how to create good workouts, progressive overload, compound exercises, and even some ways to make your workouts more efficient.
Yeah, we covered a lot. Now for the next part of our deep dive, we're going to get into some specific techniques and ways to progress that can help you take your bodyweight workouts even further.
Awesome. I'm ready for it. Okay, so back to bodyweight. We were talking about how amazing it is and how to design those workouts, and we even checked out that sample circuit workout. But now I want to get into some of the techniques, the things that can really take our workouts up a notch.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into that too. Remember how we talked about progressive overload? Constantly challenging yourself? Well, all of your sources have some great advice on how to make bodyweight exercises more challenging, even without using weight.
Yeah, that's part I never really understood. How do you make things harder if you're just using your body?
The biggest thing is variations, kind of like leveling up in a video game. Both Nerd Fitness and Healthline had tons of suggestions for different variations of all the classic exercises.
Oh, right. Like with push-ups. Healthline had that whole progression from doing them against a wall, then elevated push-ups, then knee push-ups, and finally standard push-ups.
Exactly. It's about finding the variation that's right for you.
Right where you are right now.
And then working your way up.
To the harder versions.
Nerd Fitness actually had a video too, showing how to do a push-up correctly.
Mm-hmm.
It was really helpful.
I know. I've definitely been guilty of bad form before. Especially when I'm tired.
Oh, yeah. That happened to all of us. But good form is so important. And it's not just push-ups either. Nerd Fitness actually broke down 17 different bodyweight exercises. They had variations for each one, from squats to lunges to rows. It was a lot of information.
I was just looking at their section on squats. They showed you how to start with assisted squats, where you're holding on to something for balance, and then work your way up to regular squats, and then even pistol squats.
Oh, yeah, those are tough. What's cool about pistol squats is that you need a lot of leg strength, but also good balance and mobility. Nerd Fitness mentioned that exercises like that are great for building functional strength.
Yeah, the kind of strength you use in your everyday life. I think that's what I love most about bodyweight training. It's not just about how you look. It's about having a body that moves well and feels strong, a body you can use.
Absolutely. Think about how amazing it would be to not struggle carrying groceries or playing with your kids, to just move easily and confidently.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so we talked about variations. What are some other ways to step up our bodyweight workouts?
Well, remember those supersets and circuits. Those are great for intensity. But there's another technique that both sources talked about. It's called time under tension.
Time under tension. What's that?
It's when you make an exercise harder. By slowing down the movement and focusing on controlling your body through the whole range of motion.
So instead of just trying to do the reps as fast as I can, I should slow down and make my muscles work harder.
Exactly. Nerd Fitness suggested adding pauses, like at the top or bottom of the movement, or really focusing on the lowering part of the exercise.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It's about quality over quantity. But even with all of these great techniques, sometimes it's hard to stay motivated. Any advice on how to be more consistent?
You know, Nerd Fitness had some really good advice for that. They said it's all about having a plan. Don't just go into your workout without knowing what you're going to do.
Right. Having a plan can make a big difference.
Definitely. A plan makes sure you're hitting all the muscle groups
Yeah.
and progressing at the right pace. And it helps you get the most out of your time. Plus, Nerd Fitness even had a bunch of sample workouts, so you don't have to come up with everything on your own.
That's so helpful. I also think tracking my progress really helps me stay motivated. Seeing how far you've come can be really encouraging.
Absolutely. Nerd Fitness recommends keeping a workout journal to write down your sets and reps and any variations you're using. You can even write down how you felt during the workout. It's all useful information.
So plan, track, and vary things up. What else is really important for getting the most out of bodyweight training?
We actually haven't talked about nutrition yet. It's a big part of being fit, no matter what kind of workout you're doing.
Right. You can't outrun a bad diet.
Exactly. Nerd Fitness had this great guide on healthy eating. It's really good at breaking down the basics. They said to eat whole foods, not processed stuff. Make sure you're getting enough protein. And be mindful of your portions.
That sounds super helpful. I think a lot of us struggle with that, especially the mindless eating.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But if we pay more attention to our eating habits, it becomes a lot easier to make healthy choices. And Nerd Fitness has a ton of resources on this topic, so you're definitely not alone.
Okay, so we've got all the techniques for making those workouts harder. We talked about planning, tracking, and nutrition. Is there anything else we need to cover before we move on?
Well, we haven't really talked about plateaus. Those are something that everyone experiences, especially with bodyweight training.
Oh, yeah. Plateaus, when you feel like you're putting in the work, but you're not seeing any progress. That can be really frustrating.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
But don't worry, we're going to get into all of that in the next part of our deep dive.
Awesome. I'm ready to bust through those plateaus. Okay, so we're back, and we've talked about a lot with bodyweight, but there's one more thing that I know trips a lot of people up. Plateaus. When you feel like you're doing all the right things, but you're not getting any stronger.
Plateaus happen. It's totally normal. Everyone goes through it at some point. But the good news is you have all of these awesome articles with great advice on how to deal with them.
Okay, so how do we get past it? How do we get unstuck?
Well, Nerd Fitness said the first thing is consistency and patience. Progress isn't always linear. It's going to go up and down. There will be times when you're seeing big changes and times when it feels like nothing's happening.
Yeah, that's a good reminder. Because it's so easy to get discouraged when you feel like you're not making progress every week.
Exactly. And consistency doesn't mean doing the exact same workout every single day, actually. Nerd Fitness warned against getting stuck in a routine. They said you got to change things up. Keep your body guessing so you don't hit those plateaus in the first place.
Right, because our bodies are really good at adapting, so if we do the same thing over and over, they get efficient at it, and we stop seeing results.
Exactly. So how do we change things up? Well, remember, all those variations we talked about, those are your best friend. So instead of doing regular push-ups all the time, try incline push-ups or decline push-ups. Instead of just squats, try sumo squats or jump squats.
I love that. So we start with the basics, really nail those foundational exercises, and then we make them harder by adding variations, changing the tempo, and using those supersets and circuits.
You got it. And don't be afraid to just try different things. Nerd Fitness actually had a whole section on weird and fun exercises. Things like the human flag, handstand push-ups, muscle-ups.
Wow, okay, those sound really hard, but also kind of fun. It's good to remember that fitness can be fun. You can find new ways to challenge yourself.
Absolutely. You might even find out you're good at something that you never thought you would be. So along with consistency and variety, Nerd Fitness and Very Well Fit both said it's super important to listen to your body.
Yeah. Rest and recovery are so important.
I'm glad you said that. It's easy to get caught up in that no pain, no gain mindset. But if you push yourself too hard all the time, it can actually make things worse.
Yeah, you can get injured.
Or burned out.
And end up hitting a plateau.
Exactly. Nerd Fitness said to really pay attention to how you feel, both physically and mentally. If you're always sore or tired or just not feeling motivated, it might be a sign that you need to rest more.
So it's about finding a balance, pushing yourself, but also knowing your limits.
Right. And rest doesn't mean doing nothing. Nerd Fitness suggested doing active recovery, things like stretching, yoga, or just going for a walk.
I love that, keeping your body moving, but without pushing it too hard.
Exactly. It's the best way to recover and stay balanced.
Okay, so for beating plateaus, we have consistency, variety, rest, and listening to our bodies. Any last words of wisdom before we wrap things up?
Just remember that fitness is a journey. It's not about reaching a certain point and then stopping. There will always be challenges. But if you have the right approach, and you're patient with yourself, and you're willing to try new things, you can accomplish incredible things with just your own body weight.
I love that. This has been so inspiring, and I feel like I have so much information I can actually use. I'm ready for my next workout.
Awesome. Remember, you got this. Now go make your body your gym.
That's it for our deep dive into at-home bodyweight workouts. We hope you had fun learning about bodyweight training with us. Remember, you are capable of amazing things, so embrace the challenge, have fun, and keep moving forward.